Welcome back to True Blue Podcast, a podcast launched by Blue Devil Network and Duke Athletics to shed light on what makes student athletes human. This is our first episode of the semester, and we are so excited to announce that Issy Carey is our first guest. Today, we're going to be talking about Issy growing up in Surrey, England, playing field hockey, along with her passion for art, creativity, and expression. Welcome, Issy Carey.
Shelby, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so happy that you're here. So happy that you're our first guest. Let's get into it.
Yes, I'm extremely excited. First of all, thank you for having me. It's always been a dream of mine to be on this podcast.
Absolutely. Izzy and I are basically in the middle of season right now. How are you feeling?
I feel great. Team is amazing. This is the best group of girls that I've ever been around and a part of, and I just think we are going to do some great things. And obviously, we're going to be doing it together, and I'm extremely excited about it.
Absolutely. Let's get it. Give me the Issy Carey bio. You grew up in Surrey, England, but you also traveled a lot internationally. You grew up in a lot of different places. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my family's South African. I was born in Singapore due to my dad's job, and then we were in England, where I was predominantly raised, and then we went back to Hong Kong for a while, which was a super unique experience. And I think a lot of the reason why I'm here today in America has to do with my experiences of living abroad and being around so many different people. I also had some good American friends out there who told me you need to go out to America to go to college, and pretty much since 8 years old I have been looking to come out here, and obviously dream come true coming to Duke because I love it here so much. But yeah, I played sport all my life, football, soccer for the Americans. Hockey became something that really took the forefront in that. But another thing that was always in my life alongside of that was art. And with us traveling so much, my parents kind of figured out the way to make me sit still when I couldn't be outside kicking a ball around or whatever it was. It was with a sketchbook, and they would plug me up with that old school iPod Nano. I would listen to whatever music I would listen to at 9 years old, and I would sketch, and I still have those sketchbooks, and kind of that's where my fascination and my love for art came. And it was, I think a lot of people think that art and sport are two dichotomies, they're opposite one another, but actually they worked so hand in hand for me because they allowed me to express myself in two completely opposite ways, in a quite crazy way on the field, on the playground, whatever it was, and then also in a more calm setting where I could reflect and like truly understand myself.
I think the audience needs to know, yes, you do art, you paint, as you say very casually. Issy, you are very talented at this. Your art is like real life pictures. When did you start to realize, wait, I'm pretty good at this?
I think I was quite lucky in the sense that when I was young, again, because of all that sketching and because of all the art making I had done from a young age, I kind of always stood out a bit from my peers in the way of art. But then it was probably truly when I turned like 16, 17. And in England, the school I went to, we had a really excellent art department, and they really fostered it in me, and I was making these 7-foot paintings at 16, 17 years old, some of which are still my favorite pieces I've ever done. And I think that's when I realized, when the discussion was like, do I go to art school or do I do what I really want to do, which is come out here and play sports? And then that's just been something that I've been trying to foster and kind of change how I look at art now, and really use my experience as an athlete and try set myself apart in that sense to create paintings that emulate the feeling of sport for me.
Fast forward a bit, you committed to Stanford, your dream school. 2020 hit and the program shut down. What was that experience like for you? Complete change in your dream school and your trajectory for your college field hockey experience?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I was looking to go to Stanford from 16, pretty much as soon as I could think about committing to a school. It was Stanford the whole way. So the last couple of years of school, that was where my hopes and dreams were. And then, just about a month before we were supposed to fly out there, they said that they were going to drop 11 sports, and field hockey was one of them. And, I was still able to go there. I had that offer on the table, but I didn't have the assurance that I was going to be an athlete. and that just wasn't something I was interested in. So I kind of made the decision to take a gap year, which was tough. In COVID, it was tough. I painted, I sold art, and I coached hockey. So again, two things I love, but it was a turbulent time for me. And Duke was on the phone pretty much immediately. And thank goodness I made this decision, because I love it here, and I really do think it worked out for a reason, because this is the place that makes me the most happy, and I can't imagine being this happy anywhere else and having the team that we have.
In addition to unexpected setbacks, you've also had a lot of different injuries during your time as an athlete. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the injuries have been a big one. Pretty much from the age of 15, 16, I started I tore my hamstring, I've broken my knee, I've snapped both my ankles, I've had ankle surgery, I had shoulder surgery. They have been something that I've dealt with. That's also where art came in for me, was a way of dealing with those. When I couldn't express myself on the field, I turned to art to express myself.
Your freshman and sophomore year, you were injured. How did that advance your art expression here at Duke?
So I think what basically happened is I was freed up to be creative in the ways that I love to be. Freshman year, obviously I was injured that whole time, and a friend of mine in women's soccer approached me with the idea to do a painting that would go for an auction, and it needed to be something around Duke basketball. So it was around March Madness time. We were going to do an auction of all these paintings, and again, because I wasn't playing sport, I needed something to put my purpose into, and so I created a painting which now hangs in Nina King's office. She was the one who took it off my hands. And that's kind of where all my art stuff started at Duke. I think that was where I got to show myself, thankfully so early in my career at Duke as an artist, that then from there it's been just kind of nonstop. And people figured out I could paint. I could especially paint about sports and other, make other forms of art, graphic design and all of those things. And yeah, so that's where that piece came out of. And I believe we have the piece with us.
Let's bring Wendell Moore in here. Well, I guess a painting, right?
Yeah, no, okay. Yeah. Oh, he did sign it though, which is really cool. It's kind of blurred. It's kind of faded out now. Yeah. So this is him. I guess I'll give you a little spiel about it. So this was the piece I did freshman year for an auction, and I kind of wanted to take a very dynamic approach. I think, again, like I talk about my intersection of art and sport to be something that's super dynamic. I want to use art to express the emotion, the movement, the energy that you get in sport. And so I'm happy with the way that this went. It took me about a month in between classes and whatnot in the spring of my freshman year. And then he ended up signing it over here at the bottom.
A lot of the work that you do is very abstract, as you can see in what surrounds Wendell Moore. Tell me about why you chose to do this.
Yeah, so I think the big thing is that you can kind of make out that it's a basketball player. You can make out the movement here, but in the same way that when you take a photo and it gets all blurry, I wanted to figure out how to make the movement here the star of the show. And so using big long brush strokes and cutting the piece up like this, it kind of emulates the way in which your eye sees this movement happen. And I have the repeated forms here of the arm and the way that the color distorts as well. It's all in an attempt to really show and express the true kind of energy of sport, and that's why I go towards abstract forms, because I find that they're a better way of expressing that.
Okay. Tell me about being on college game day, doing art for the biggest rivalry in sports, UNC versus Duke basketball.
Yeah, honestly a fever dream when I look back at it now. It was completely kind of a luck of the chance kind of thing. One of my friends who was supposed to paint the basketball, which is a tradition started by one of our photographers here, where every year kind of they would have somebody paint a basketball and they would throw it around the Cameron Crazies and take a bunch of photos with it. It's been done just by random students in the crowd. It's been done by professional artists. I obviously took this ball and wanted to do the absolute most with it. So I created the devil and he's doing the little football hands. And I honestly just thought, okay, great, this is going to be thrown around the crowd. We're going to get some photos with it. It's going to be really cool. I get a ticket for the UNC Duke game, which, by the way, we won in Shire's first year. Did. Really awesome. Mm-hmm. And then the media department here at Duke, the marketing department, wanted to storytell it. And so they came to me one day and said, hey, College Game Day is coming. As you know, we're going to have you paint on College Game Day. And that was that. It was a couple days before the event, and they called me up and they said, how messy are you? How much room?
Pretty messy.
How messy are you when you paint? Which, yes, you're right, pretty messy. And they said, and I said, why do you need to know this? And they said, well, we need to know how much of Cameron's floor we need to cover if you were to paint on it.
Izzy, you're joking.
And I said,
what
sorry.
What were your emotions?
I freaked out. I said, okay. Not much. I can be neat. I can do that depending on the size of the canvas. And they were like, right. So in theory, you would be painting during the College Game Day, the hour that they produce the show. And I'd be painting kind of next to the booth. I tried to be cool, but I did freak out. And then next thing I know, I'm gathering all my materials and I'm rocking up to Cameron alongside obviously all the game day producers, and they put me in a corner. I had the ball there right next to me, and I painted live, and I still have the painting. It's in my room, but I redid the painting for Coach Shire, and I ended up giving it to him, and I believe it sits in his office right now as his first UNC Duke win. But yeah.
That is really special. What were your feelings of painting under pressure?
It was hard. There was a camera around me the majority of the time. There were cameras on me. So I think that was a new experience. I can paint quite quickly, but also, there's periods of time when you paint that everything's quite ugly, and you don't want them to capture you at a point where your painting looks rubbish, right? So I kind of had to make sure how I chose to paint it, it always kind of looked quite together, and then it just got better over time. And we spoke about this earlier. I think I rarely look at my pieces and think, wow, I'm good at this. It's often that, this isn't good, this isn't good enough, it can be better. And so for sure I thought that with this piece, and I was thinking, this is one of the biggest opportunities of my life thus far, and I feel like this painting is not a very good representation of what I can do. But then you also just have to think, I don't think anyone cares. It's just the idea that I'm making art next to one of the biggest sports events in the country. And I think that's my goal. And so to me now, the emotions about that is just absolute gratefulness that I've been able to come to a school that facilitates my creative career in that way and has allowed me to do the number one passion of mine, which is like to sit at this intersection between sport and art and have the greater public and the greater sports world see how useful creative art making and all of the things that come with that can be in this space.
Izzy, you created a piece for our locker room that we walk by every single day. What was the message of this piece?
Yeah, so this was my first graphic kind of piece at Duke. It came after the painting. We had a new locker room being built. We were so fortunate, and our coaches came to me and said, hey, we want you to do a mural in the space that is going to emulate something that we have as Duke True. And obviously you and I know this term really well. It is kind of the cornerstone of Duke field hockey, and there are a lot of words and pieces of vocabulary that we associate with Duke True, and so effectively what I did was I asked the team at the time to tell me what Duke True is to them. And I put all of those words in the shape of the Duke D. And then in the middle, I did a graphic illustration of one of our players who's still, she's in our class, Josephine Paldi. But I did it in my graphic illustration style. And I stuck her right in the middle. So that piece to us and to me is a culmination of what this program means to us. And obviously, it's extremely special to me to know that I will have a long-lasting mark on that program, whether it was on the field, whether it was connection-wise with our teammates, but now generations to come are going to be able to go into that locker room and understand what Duke True meant to the people here at the time. And hopefully that also holds a standard of where Duke field hockey is and where it goes, and just kind of like roots the team in that. And I get to do it through a piece of art, which makes people happy.
Izzy, you crushed that. That was so well said.
Thank you.
Wow. How would you say, as you're now a rising senior, you're looking back at your 4 years here, how has Duke brought up this artistic confidence of yours?
I mean, more so than I had ever expected. I knew that this was a space I wanted to be in, and I kind of thought I would have to do it all by myself, and I wouldn't get any opportunities. But pretty much from the get-go here at Duke, as I said, freshman year, I was able to do a piece. And from there, Duke have capitalized on it in a way that helps me grow as an artist. I think it's just this give and take. I've been so fortunate to be given so much by this university, as we all have. My big goal when I look to give back to the university is, how do we bridge that gap? And how do we allow people to flourish athletically, academically, but also how do we allow people to flourish creatively?
You talk about your artistic style, your vibe that you want to give off to your viewers. Where does this inspiration come from? Is there any artist that you model your work off of?
Yeah, I think it's a hard question because it changes. I think the way that I have come to paint, what my natural style is, has culminated over however many years that I've been painting, which is, you know, kind of like 15, so somewhere north of that. And so there are artists, you know, more classic artists like Francis Bacon is a huge one for me, Jenny Saville. In the way that I choose to paint people, I think expressing emotion, expressing pain, even if that's what the emotion is, expressing joy through mark making is something that I look for in other artists. Every artist's kind of aim is so personal to them, and I wouldn't say that what I paint is similar to any other artist that I've seen, and that was kind of my point. I didn't want to be like anybody else, but I definitely have taken inspiration from a lot of artists in the way that I choose to mark make and the way that my style has culminated.
As athletes, we talk about a pregame routine. What's your art or paint routine?
So, not as intense as a sport one, although I will say the standard and the thing that connects the two is music for me. I listen to a lot of music. I have a sketchbook that the motto of it is a quote by Jean-Michel Basquiat, very famous artist, that says, "Art decorates space and music decorates time." And so I kind of live by that. I will sketch the places that I'm in, you know, whether it be buildings that I'm around or landscapes or people, coffee cups. And then I'm often listening to music. As we know, I walk around with my big headphones on and I will write the lyrics of the music that I'm listening to at the time. And I can associate what I sketch with what I'm listening to and what's inspiring me. When I'm given a project, I kind of the first thing I do is go to references. I go to Pinterest. I look up what other people are doing. I look up kind of imagery that I want to use and ways of mark making, ways of expressing it. And then I kind of start making sketches. I use my iPad a lot, even if I'm making a physical painting. I go to the iPad, I get a photo, I distort it in whatever ways I need to. I sketch over the top. I kind of run it through a few people, my parents being one of them. They've been with me this whole time through my art journey, so they're quite good at telling me what they like and what they don't like, even though they don't have a creative bone in their body. They can be blunt with me. I think if I came to you, you would be like, wow, that's amazing.
That's a great point.
And I hate
that's
to
why
say
I'm sitting in this chair.
Exactly. And I hate to say it, I don't think I'd get anything done. But
probably not.
Yeah, they're really honest with me and they push me, which obviously I'm so grateful for. And then I kind of just go for it. There's not that much planning in it. I kind of just feel it out and I work through things a lot during the painting. And you just got to stick with it. And then normally something good comes out of it. Yeah.
For athletes who are passionate about art in any shape or form, what's your inspiration for them to realize that you can show creativity in many different aspects of your life, whether it's sport, whether it's art, whether it's your future career? How has showing creativity in different aspects of your life changed your life?
Yeah, I think something that I believe to be quite true is that sport is one of the most creative things that you can do. That is your raw emotion on a playing field. When people watch you, that's everything that you have as a human being being shown and through movement, through expression. And I think people forget that. I think athletes need to know that they're being creative regardless. And if they are in periods of time, whether it be after school, when they're no longer athletes, or at least former athletes, whatever they say and call themselves, or if they're injured and they're out of sport, they are probably in need of some kind of creative outlet because they are not able to put their purpose into something. And so I challenge athletes to find that for themselves.
All right. What's next for you? What's cooking?
Great question. Something really exciting. I am doing a thesis this year as a senior, and I've kind of made it my mission to use this thesis as a way to truly kind of culminate what I've done at Duke, and wrap it all up and hopefully kind of push me on to where I'd like to go later in life. And I won't speak too much on it because I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it will be a very large project that's going to be kind of shown all over Duke campus, and also hopefully in the Durham community as well. And I'm hoping to really bring together what it means to be a sports fan, and what it means to kind of be a viewer of art.
Issy, I know I spend a lot of time with you, but wow. You never fail to amaze me. You're so well-spoken, so talented, so expressive. Thank you for coming on True Blue Podcast. We appreciate you. You're a great way to ring in the new season. Thank you so much for coming, and I can't wait to see how you impact the Duke athletic community in your art, in your sport, and by who you are. Thank you.
Shelby, thank you so much for having me. You are the best, as always. And I absolutely love spending time with you. So this was an honor.
Me too. Me too. See you at practice later.
Yeah.